What is up, guys? What you're about to see is from one of my streams. I'm kind of just rambling about iconic movie characters and Office and Top Gear and Jeremy Clarkson. I'm kind of just rambling about a couple things, but it's a what makes a character iconic is the main topic of discussion before I just kind of spiral out of control, and then we finish up at like the fragmentation of media. I don't know. It's a wild ride.
Of all time. Compare this to Kylo Ren,
Do it.
who has 1 hour 2 minutes of screen time across the sequels. That's 25 minutes more. In a trilogy that adjusted. Compare this to Kylo Ren,
Do it.
who has 1 hour 2 minutes of screen time across the sequels. That's 25 minutes more. In a trilogy that adjusted for inflation earned more money. So why is Darth Vader so iconic, but Kylo Ren isn't? Name me a truly iconic character from the 2020s.
He's right, but he's also comparing someone who's like a faceless being to like an actor. There's also a guy playing a character, but he's completely indistinguishable from his real life counterpart. The voice isn't even the same person in the suit.
70s had Star Wars, where basically everyone is iconic.
But I think other than that, I do think he's probably going to be mostly right. I had to throw that out there. I gotta throw it out there. Their movies aren't events anymore. There's competition from social media. Obviously, since the 70s, movies, probably since before the 70s, I don't know, don't care that much. Since the 70s, I'm sure, as mass adoption of home televisions, home television media in the form of movies and TV shows on VHS, and then DVD, and then streaming, social media, of course, all that stuff has come together to kill the fucking movie as an event, the way that Star Wars and whatever the fuck else was. The closest movie as an event we've come to not since, but like in recent years, I feel like is Dune. And even that is like, it was an event for people who are kind of nerdy. And outside of that, it was not an event for like the regular person.
This is how Merriam-Webster defines iconic: of relating to or having the characteristics of an icon. Widely recognised and well established.
Well.
Widely known and acknowledged, especially for distinctive excellence.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Okay, so this is kinda helpful, but it's
Actually, I feel like the first Iron Man was probably the best example from the late 2000s. Was Iron Man late 2000s or early 2000s? Like before the 2010s, the actual 2000s, the noughts proper. I feel like Iron Man was pretty big. And there's Spider-Man. I mean, you can argue Spider-Man is more of a 2000s figure before we kind of lost the ability to have these big character I have to stop saying as an event. These like big character blow-ups. And I think another modern example would be like Thanos is the closest we got to like capturing the imagination of the public at large in a similar way to Darth Vader. And again, I think part of the allure is that it's not a recognizable actor doing a character. It's a character first being acted by someone who's completely and totally unrecognizable and separate from themselves as an actor and the character they're portraying. Okay, here's an example. The closest I can think of a person who's reached a similar status would be Dexter from Dexter. Is that Patrick Bateman? Is this a Dexter reference? No, right? This is
in truth,
this is Dexter.
many ways to object to.
Duh. Sinners is the most nominated film ever? Do I need to watch Sinners? I don't watch movies until they're like 10 years old. I know where we can get the real answer. Oh. Maybe I don't know where we can get the real answer. Oh. Okay. Well, I don't know what the people think, and I won't know what the people think. And Rotten Tomato people score is just not the same as the freaking Letterboxd. It's just not the same.
They were big when they released, but now, not so much. Their moment came and went. Not many people are still talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Can you imagine anyone dressing up as Marty Mauser for Halloween in 5 years' time? So yeah, while great original...
Yeah, but again, all the iconic characters he's pointed out, for the most part, I mean, I would disagree with half of the iconic characters he pointed out in the beginning. Let's see, where are we at right now? 1534. Iron Man is partially iconic because he's a guy, but he's a guy in a suit. He's a character. That is, but I do feel like Jack Sparrow does such a good job of removing the person that is. Anyway, they do a really good job of separating Captain Jack Sparrow as a character from the actor. It doesn't, like, Marty Supreme feels like Timothy Chalamet acting in a role. You know what I mean? Anyway, where was I? 1535?
For Halloween in 5 years.
Now look at Darth Vader versus Marty Supreme. This guy right here, Marty Supreme, that's just Timothy Chalamet. He dresses like that on a Wednesday. That's just who he is. That's just a guy who lives in West Hollywood but isn't gay. That's like a former libertarian turned liberal college professor who teaches at a community college in Santa Barbara.
But also,
movies are too focused. There's always been movie stars, of course. I'm not a fucking idiot. But movies are just so focused on the names of everyone attached and we have the best director and we have the best actors, we have the best writing. And even though they do have the best actors and they do have the best writing and they do have the best directors and they do have the best DPs and they do have the best lighting, it all comes together to create something that feels either soulless, or if it does have a soul, it's not as fulfilling as it could be. Sometimes you don't need the best of everything. What makes a movie great sometimes is not having the best of everything. And if I can just pivot this into like the world I care more about, cars, okay? We could talk about Top Gear versus the Grand Tour. And like, I know some of these people have been controversial. Specifically, Jeremy Clarkson has said a lot of shit be created, and it's because the BBC had them. Top Gear was the best automotive show to ever be created. Everyone in the world watched Top Gear. It spawned multiple spin-offs. It was the car show. At Top Gear, it spawned multiple spin-offs. It was the car show. It had a pretty tight budget. And because of that tight budget, they made fucking cinema. They made cinema. And as soon as they went to Amazon and they got an insane budget, they got an insane production, it wasn't the same. It was missing. The producers were the same. Andy Wilhelm went with them to Amazon. He was the brains behind a lot of Top Gear. He went with them. The cast went. The writers went to Amazon. And yeah, they were partially hamstruck by non-competes and the threat of lawsuits by BBC. But even that, like, what they made was missing that like little magic soul. You know what I mean? Like,
the media we consume has become much more
that, like, what they made was missing that like little magic soul. You know what I mean? Like,
the media we consume has become much more fragmented. Let's look at an example.
I agree with that. The fragmentation of media is actually exhausting. If you want to look at another example, do you remember like 10 years ago when The Office was everywhere? Like, it became its most popular, way more popular than it was on TV. It's because everyone had Netflix and The Office was on Netflix. Everyone had Netflix. Netflix was the place where people watched TV and movies. Everyone had it, and The Office was like a good show. So as people talked about the place where people watched TV and movies, everyone had it, and The Office was like a good show. So as people talked about it, it could really pick up steam and become like this big thing, right? Like, more popular again, like it was more popular 10 years ago than when it was on TV, because there was so much less fragmentation in the online streaming space.